My zaczęliśmy razem z kolegą, przyjacielem ze studiów.
We formed the company in 2006 when we were still computer science students. It was a typical garage company. Just me, my friend and his dog. For the first 2 years, we did whatever you could name as IT services. Fixing printers, creating websites, networks, administrating and maintaining servers, doing some simple programming, and whatever else you could probably think of. We were a startup, so we could not afford to be picky. But we've always had another dream. We wanted to work in the cybersecurity domain. That dream started coming true when we formed a partnership with a Scandinavian company. They first came to us as our clients who needed help with one of the projects. Our cooperation turned out to be fruitful, and we got along so well that we decided it would be mutually beneficial to create something together. And that is how MNCwhispering was established. In MNCwhispering, we focus on data protection, penetration tests, so we genuinely did what we have always wanted to do. Over time, our company grew significantly. We started hiring and reached the size of about 70 employees in 3 countries. We focus on the financial industry, banks, insurance companies, and payment service providers. We had no individual customers in our portfolio, as we focus on companies only, and these were usually quite big companies that even in that time knew how important the data security was. Our job was to make sure their systems were well secured and no breaches occurred. I mean, imagine logging to a bank whose platform was not secured enough and you could steal all sensitive information. That is what we did. We made sure all worked properly. We focused our attention on the Scandinavian market. The sales offices were established in Denmark and Finland, while in Poland we kept only the engineering and pen testing teams. We were happy with what we achieved, but we wanted to start thinking about our strategic plan. I remember running into, quite by chance, a former MNCwhispering board member who also worked for Boston Consulting Group, and mentioning that to him. It came to me as a real surprise when he told me, "Leszek, you are just simply not big enough to think strategically." We never looked to sell out our company. Some people launch businesses with the mindset on selling from the first minute. They nurture the company till it reaches certain value, they make a profit, and move on to something else. For us, MNCwhispering was like a child. We have always run it in a kind of family way, friendly atmosphere, so at no point did we think of exiting the market. But, as an old saying goes, everything is for sale. We were approached by F-Secure, a company whose headquarters were located about 200 meters from our office in Helsinki. We knew them and they knew us, as in the past we worked together on some projects. F-Secure looked for a way to break the stereotype of an antivirus software provider and expand the scope of products and services. They had more than 25 years of experience in anti-malware products for end customers, but their board soon realized that they needed to offer a more comprehensive scope of services. They wanted to expand to the cybersecurity services. There are 3 reasons why a company wants to take you over. They want your market, they want your technology and patents, or they want it all, caring not to damage the original company and its culture. In most cases, only in the latter one will they care what happens with the company that is taken over. We knew we would only consider to sell to a buyer who would not destroy what we had created. We treated MNCwhispering as our child, and it was not easy to give it up. Once the offer was made, things progressed quickly. We agreed that all partners had to be on board with the sale. Otherwise, we would not go through with it. However, once the initial shock of the change to be wore off, we realized that it was the right step to take. The integration that followed the acquisition process started in 2015 and lasted for about 2 years, at least from a technical point of view. We were aware of the many potential risks, cultural and organizational clashes, the redundancy problem, human resistance, and probably a whole bunch of other issues we did not realize at that time. Through the first 1.5 years, we functioned quite autonomously. MNCwhispering was practically swallowed up and became a new business unit. We were mostly allowed to set our own aims and integrated only where it made sense. However, F-Secure was a big company and constantly evolved. We evolved along with it, and although still nowadays as the Poznan unit we enjoy quite a bit of autonomy and are well heard in the headquarters, we had to start blending in and form one sound organism. It makes no sense to try and cling to the former identity. For several years now, I haven't thought in MNCwhispering terms anymore. F-Secure is my company, and I try to work as well as I can to reach our goals and make the company successful. As we thought, we did encounter some problems along the way. They mostly concerned the human capital management. Some people resisted the change and were not willing to stay on, which is only natural. Also, when a new business comes, some company units may feel favored over the others, which sparks tensions. But all those issues were addressed and could be resolved before anything spun out of control. Both companies were open-minded towards the takeover. At the very beginning, a guy called Eugene came to Poznan to get familiar with the new site, people, practices. He said a very memorable thing. He told me that he intended to integrate and not colonize. That meant that we were not forced to adopt all the ways and processes of F-Secure, but we compared and chose the ways that were most effective and productive, regardless of who had to change. We were also able to avoid cultural and organizational clashes, but we expected that much. We knew the company beforehand and knew that neither them nor us had the white-collar culture. I could not imagine me or my colleagues to be forced into suits and ties, when so far we have enjoyed a far more relaxed atmosphere. We also avoided the redundancy problem. In fact, we had to integrate some supporting activities, like finance or HR management. But as we came in as a new business unit, we did not duplicate roles. Overall, I can say that things went quite smoothly. The hardest to solve were, of course, the people. There were those who immediately changed their ways and started to think of themselves as F-Secure. But there were also those who were much slower on the change curve. There are also those who will probably never fully integrate and will always think of themselves as MNCwhispering people. Those mostly leave. But sometimes they stay on, which is also fine, since they are efficient and productive, even if they are not fully supportive of the change. After the takeover, our employee turnover rate was small, which we think of as a success. Cybersecurity is a global market. Therefore, our business is to a large degree influenced by global forces, and we need to adjust to changes in all markets. Our products and services are relatively standardized, as it would simply not be cost-effective to make too many adjustments. So our solutions are pretty universal. But as we are present globally, we need to keep track of the particular requirements in each region. There are people dedicated to that job. We are especially prone to be affected by the legislative changes. For instance, in some parts of the world, we need to comply with the laws on weapon export. As the definition of weapon is wide, some of our algorithms need to comply with the same regulations as if we were selling ballistic missiles. But these factors change mostly the way we handle business in each region. For example, by establishing certain business units there, but that does not affect the products and services. The solutions which we offer are not customized, as the attacks that businesses are exposed to are quite similar regardless of the industry or size. Global trends affect the industry significantly. About 2 years ago, the GDPR rules caused in the EU a major overturn in the data protection approach. Now we have the COVID-19 pandemic that changed the way we work. Companies turn to home office, which makes their data vulnerable, and they see an increasing need for cybersecurity. As they allow for bigger budgets in that area, that only means that our market grows and we see more opportunities. Out of all our units, we noted that only the consultancy services took a blow due to the nature of their work. Since we keep social distance, they were not able to visit companies and work on site. Our market is very sensitive to analytical forecasts, which means that both we and our clients follow what market researchers like Gartner or Forrester predict. They set expectations towards the trends in the security market, and we try to establish where we stand and what we need to adapt. Our clients read the same analysis, which indirectly shapes their needs and market demand. There are two trends that dominate the market nowadays. Firstly, companies turn to multi-cloud to store their data as they want to avoid the cost and maintenance of the internal systems. Secondly, to put it simply, there is a growing trend to see the need of protection and quick detection of the attacks as one codependent function. These trends influence what we offer and how we operate in the markets. It is not only about technical issues and product development. It is also a legal and social matter. Who is responsible for what? Where the limits are? Who sets the boundaries? Just looking back a couple of years, our clients used to operate as corporate IT bastions. They would provide everything for themselves and use as little cloud services as possible. But today, we operate in a digitalized world. People work from their mobiles, check their messages on their smartwatches, and connect from any spot. It changes the perspective on data protection. Our business model has two angles. We sell our products and services directly to companies and also in part to individual customers, but there are also a lot of people who use our products and simply do not realize it. We cooperate with internet providers who incorporate our products into their offer. So you might be protected by our antivirus and not even realize that. That is the beauty of our size. With about 1,700 employees, we are big enough to matter on the global market, but still flexible enough to respond quickly and adapt our business model to the current needs.